Alright, it's time for everyone's favorite video. Dude in the car, driving, talking about stuff. Alright, Acolyte, episode 3. You know, as long as you don't think too much about what they're actually saying, because the writers really didn't, you know, you can let certain things skip. You know, not knowing how fire works, I mean, that's also fine. A lot of people said this isn't Star Wars is going to die. Here's the crazy thing. I think Star Wars has gotten so big that yes, Disney owns the rights to it, but that doesn't really stop, you know, fan fiction. It doesn't really stop, you know, there are authors right now who are probably writing something that's going to go to Audible. There's so many amazing things that were done that are part of Legends continuity. That's just fantastic. There's lots of great Star Wars stuff out there. You don't have to consume the Disney Star Wars stuff, which is crazy. You know, there are amazing fan films. Yeah, I know I mentioned that. I mentioned like Scorekeeper. If you like, I think it's Mike Starkiller, or I think it's Starkiller, who does choreograph videos for the different lightsaber styles. He also does the occasional short film. And you know what? Are they technically perfect? No. But a really great fight choreography and the stories are pretty solid. Somewhere right now, there's probably someone who's making a Pokemon-style movie in the world of Star Wars, and it's probably going to be awesome. Is Star Wars itself dead? No. You can go back and you can find, you know, the Dark Horse comics. You can read the Marvel comics. You can read so many things that were done before the Disney takeover. So they're like, oh, you know, second Death Star blew up, but that was it for me. Okay, cool. You could be a fan of the original trilogy. That's awesome. You can like the prequel trilogy. Also awesome. You can find people on Etsy who are making the exact same thing that you would want from the style that you want, from the era that you prefer. And none of that money goes to Disney. You can also be a Star Wars fan where it's like, you know what, I kind of like droids. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to wait for a show to not do very well, and then I'm going to buy, you know, the Lola droid that was $80 for like 20. Why? Because people need to sell the inventory. You know, there's still ways you can enjoy it. Don't let Disney destroy your love for a fandom. Don't. But you can instead, you can find other aspects of that fandom. Because somewhere there's people who still love Star Wars, but don't love what Disney is doing to Star Wars. And you know what? Find what they're doing, support them. Or watch the older stuff. You know, here's the crazy thing. If you don't want to watch things on Disney Plus, but you like The Mandalorian, you can buy The Mandalorian, and you can just watch season 1 and 2. I mean, you don't have to directly support Disney if you don't want to. Personally, Acolyte for me, you know, we're 3/8 of the way through it, and we watch as a family because my daughter likes Star Wars and she likes seeing girls in movies. And this has girls, and sometimes the girls are shown when they're young, and my daughter's, you know, 10, so she likes from that aspect. Last time I looked at my wife, she's probably scrolling Facebook while it's going on. It's a background noise. I might be doing, you know, like Earth Atlas, you know, every now and then, where I'm checking something on my phone. Where sort of like Andor, we all focused on it specifically because it was fantastic. Looking for Andor season 2. Ahsoka, you know, we enjoyed Rebels, so we got bits and pieces of Ahsoka that made sense. This one is just, the advantage of it being set before the Phantom Menace is, hey, who's talked about Soul? Nobody. Who's talked about any of these characters? Nobody. Oh. Does it have any bearing on the rest of the plot? No. So now we're going to talk about what happened some in episode 3. So the Not Night Sisters decided to use the Force, so manipulated the Force, or the thread, or the weave, whatever you want to call it, and decided to use that to make one of them pregnant. One being a Zabrak. I know it's different differentiation between the males and females. I'll just say Zabrak, because they're going for it. They're like, hey, remember Darth Maul? He was cool looking. Here's the female version. Is it the same as Anakin? No. Until we get confirmation that someone deliberately, you know, in canon. Just be like, Darth Plagueis did it. Or, it was somebody that Palpatine did. Yeah, things have been hinted at, but not, really drilled down. Can you say, yes, Darth Plagueis used his combination of Sith alchemy to find a way to induce midichlorians to create life, and he did it to make Anakin? Okay, that's a fan theory. It hasn't been done in any sort of direct canon related to Disney, Star Wars, who knows, but it might be by the time I do this video, I don't know. So instead you had the not Night Sisters, who decided to use, I'll just say Sith sorcery, because we saw the Night Sisters do similar things on Dathomir, where they used the Force, but more in a magical sense. So some people call it just Sith sorcery, other people call it sorcery. I will go with Sith sorcery, because that's kind of the direction there's someone going. Use that to induce birth. Okay, or actually, to induce life. Interesting that the variation of the two of them was, one was like, I want to become a witch. The other one's like, I don't want to go with the same ideology as my parents. Okay, I'll go a different ideology. Huh. I'm just going to burn you alive. Early on, when they were hyping the show up, it was like, what if the Jedi were evil? I don't think you can very easily say, like, I don't want to do this thing. Well, then I'm just going to kill you. That's really not morally gray. Well, the Jedi show up to take the kids. Well, if they said the Republic says that they can test potential Force sensitives to become Padawans, but then ask for the parents' permission. I think people tend to gloss over that point right there, where it's like, you can do this, but we're asking for your permission. We're gonna ask for your permission to do this first. And then the idea was, we'll just fail the test. Okay. That's a way of doing it. Interesting though that when they showed Soul and, Osha was either deliberately doing it wrong or just couldn't see it, and he was like, correct, even though she was wrong, just to get her to admit that she was failing the test, she was throwing the test. Okay, but it's just not. It makes your head hurt trying to figure out what it is they're trying to do. It's like, oh, the Jedi are capturing kids, except for all the other times. I think it was Tales of the Jedi, where they show, Plo Koon going to Ahsoka's village, and everyone was amazed that, this girl was being taken to become trained as a Jedi. They're not kidnapping. Had they showed up and said, hi, we think your children are Force sensitive, we're here to take them, not the Republic has made it our right to test children who are Force sensitive to see if they can become Padawans. With your permission. With your permission means they're not kidnapping. If someone asks, hey, can we do this? And then when, Osha was like, I want to be a Jedi. And they're like, the family went, oh, we'll talk about it. We'll take your feelings into consideration. That's not kidnapping. Mace sets the complex on fire. From what we've seen. I don't know if that small fire could burn everything down. I don't know what the construction was. It might have been built out of flammable bricks. Who knows? Her doing that and destroying the village and functionally killing everybody who was there, potentially. Who knows? It's left vague specifically for reasons, because they don't probably know what they really want to do with it. And then if someone saves you because your whole family is dead, presumably, that is not kidnapping. Would have been like, oh, I'm sorry, your family's dead and your house burned down. Yeah. All right, well, you're safe and you're okay. All right, cool. I'm just going to drop you off here at the curb. You'll be fine. They showed early where they were outside in the Brendok tree area, where May decided to try to kill the Pandoran butterfly, because that's what she likes to do with her use of the power. The wield is in the Force that you use. They then, I love how everyone I've seen, everyone puts in the Hadouken sound, or the Kamehameha sound. It's like, This isn't a force you wield. Okay, now watch me use it to push people and to pull things. I will say, it's great at subverting expectations. People had high expectations, and it's not meeting any of those expectations. The idea of being Kill Bill meets Frozen. Okay. I'm trying to... It's like, okay, so wait, is it that one girl has powers? And the other one doesn't? Okay. I guess that kind of works. But in Kill Bill, the reason why the person was going around killing people was because she was directly wronged and left for dead. It's like, oh, I guess if you use it from that perspective. But she really wasn't wronged by the people if she starts the fire. You know, there's 5 more episodes before this is done. And then we'll move on to whatever the next Star Wars thing is, which by comparison will probably seem amazing. Whether it's Andor 2, Ahsoka 2, Book of Boba Fett 2, Mandalorian 4, but if that's just the Mandalorian Grogu movie, which may or may not ever happen, or maybe they'll be picked up somewhere in the Rey movies. There's even, I think it's Shadow of the Sith, which talks about Rey's parents, Rey Palpatine's parents. And there is mention that I think it's her dad was created by Palpatine as a way to try to see if he could create a force-using body that he could transfer his consciousness into, which is something that Darth Bane tried to do. And it's like, okay, well, then if he used Sith alchemy, which is more of the science side of things, to create life, that would still be different than the Sith sorcery that we're kind of seeing the Not Night Sisters use. And it's like, the advantage you're going to have is with the way Disney Plus does these things, and Disney in general. By the time the show is done, whatever happens will probably be removed for whatever the next cool thing is. And this will only really have directly impact the people who watched the show and cared enough to have it actually change some of their viewpoints on things. You guys can watch it as an Elseworlds, or like Star Wars Infinity, where I believe they had, like, I think Yoda rode like a super Star Destroyer into the Death Star. They did some crazy stuff. They also had, I think, Darth Vader became a good guy and had like a white version of his armor. It looked pretty slick. You can probably find it like Comixology or something. You know, the Star Wars Infinite, I think it's Infinity or Infinites. You know, really weird, wacky stuff. Look up fan fictions. Go hit Audible to scratch your Star Wars itch, or go find some of the older books done by, you know, go back and find some of the ones that help really expand the universe of things. Go out and find the fanfics. If you find something that looks pretty cool, get it on Etsy. You know, you can still love Star Wars and not need to worry about Disney.